Well, the chances that Leslye Headland will get a second season of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte, well, let's just say it's getting even lower. Okay, so welcome back to Views with Hughes, your agenda-free news. This is Jerome Hughes. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow George Lucas Star Wars fans and those who are just tired of watching what was once a beloved Star Wars franchise crumbling under the weight of woke political nonsense, let's talk about the latest disaster coming out of Disney Star Wars, specifically with the fiasco known as the Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy. Now, we're up to episode 6 of this mess, and guess what? Didn't even make it onto the top 10 of the Nielsen streaming chart. And you know what? I'm not surprised one bit, and I bet a lot of you aren't either. Now, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte has completely tanked again, failing to even scrape onto the Nielsen ratings charts for the third week in a row with episode 6. And let's not forget, Disney has those Nielsen ratings automatically enabled on your Disney Plus account. So it's not like people can just opt out of being counted. You know, if anyone was actually watching this disaster, it will show up in the numbers. But the reality is they aren't. Now, with the staggering budget reportedly north of $200 million, the Disney Star Wars The Acolyte is shaping up to be one of the biggest busts in Disney Plus history. Bob Iger has already admitted that Disney's streaming service is bleeding money, with the $4 billion loss hanging over their heads. Now, throwing hundreds of millions at a show no one cares about is just digging that hole deeper. Now, Nielsen just released the ratings for the week when episode 6 of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy dropped on Disney Plus, and it's a complete embarrassment. To put things in perspective, the show that barely made it onto the charts at number 10 is Netflix's Man with 1,000 Kids, which racked up 332 million minutes watched. Now, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland didn't even make it that far, meaning episode 6 couldn't even crack the 332 million mark. And this is one of the failure. Well, not failure. Previous episodes were even worse, coming in under 319 and 298 million. Now, this makes the Disney Star Wars The Acolyte officially the least watched and lowest rated Star Wars series on Disney Plus. And let's compare that with some of the other Star Wars content on Disney Plus. Ahsoka's episode 6, for example, managed to pull in 570, nearly double what the Disney Star Wars The Acolyte couldn't even muster. Even on Andor wasn't much of exactly a runaway hit, but saw its viewership increase from 356 for episode 5 to 405 for episode 6. Then there's The Mandalorian, the series that really hit it out the park with season 2 and 1, pulled off in 994 of viewing time within just 3 days, and season 3 even surpassed that with over 1,000 million. Now, even the Book of Boba Fett, which had mixed reviews, managed to secure 580 million minutes for its episodes, and Obi-Wan Kenobi pulled off in a solid 860 million minutes based on nostalgia. So with ratings this low and a show, and Disney Star Wars The Acolyte costing a small fortune, will there even be a Disney Star Wars The Acolyte season 2? Chances aren't looking good. Now, compared to what Ahsoka, which was already slated for a second season, and it's doing so at half the cost of The Acolyte while pulling in double viewers. From what I've been hearing, Leslye Headland might be on her way out at Lucasfilm. Okay, now she's even admitted that she hasn't heard anything about a second season. But despite all this, Disney shows for Rings of Power season 2. Disney Star Wars The Acolyte season 2 are still desperately trying to drum up support for the Acolyte season 2 instead of wasting time defending a show that no one is watching. They should be putting their energy into demanding better Star Wars content from Disney. The fact is that Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland is a flop, and if by some miracle they do decide to go ahead with another season, it's clear that Disney Star Wars The Acolyte desperately needs a new showrunner who can actually deliver a product that fans want to watch. Now, Disney and Leslye Headland, the mastermind behind this disaster, are pushing Disney Star Wars The Acolyte that just not resonate with the real Star Wars fans. And this is not the Star Wars that we all love and grew up with, but the one that captivated us with its timeless stories of good versus evil, heroism, and adventure. This is something entirely different. Now, this is what happens when you let woke ideology take over the franchise, okay? Now, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte Episode 6 by Leslye Headland is just the latest example of how out of touch these creators are with their Star Wars fan base. Now, Star Wars fans have been rejecting Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland from the very beginning. Why? Because it's more interested in pushing a woke agenda than in telling a good story. Now, you've got characters and plots that feel like they were pulled straight out of some woke activist's playbook rather than being crafted to fit within the Star Wars universe that George Lucas created. All right. And the fact of the matter is, well, let's be real. Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland has been a flop from the start. Now, each episode has been met with more and more rejection from the fans. And why wouldn't they? You know, when you take a beloved franchise and twist it into something unrecognizable just to score some woke political points with the woke crowd, you're bound to lose the people who actually care about Star Wars. And that's those who don't want anything political about it. And now Leslye Headland, the one who's been driving this train wreck off the rails, is apparently pushing for a season 2 of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte. But, she's hoping it'll be by her, Leslye Headland. But let's be honest here. Who actually wants that? The fans sure don't. Now, we've seen the numbers and they speak for themselves. In Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland couldn't even break the top 10 of the Nielsen streaming chart. Now, if that's not a clear sign that the audience just is not interested, then honestly, I don't know what is. But here's another thing. There's no word on whether season 2 of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte is even going to happen. And maybe, just maybe, that's because even Disney is starting to see the writing on the wall. They've already alienated so many fans with this woke nonsense, and another season of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland is only going to drive more people away. Now, we're talking about Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland that doesn't even respect the legacy of Star Wars that was created by George Lucas, doesn't care about the fans, and doesn't offer anything that resembles the heart and soul of what made Star Wars great in the first place. But instead, it's all about pushing an agenda that most of us aren't interested in, according to Leslye Headland. And the result, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland is getting rejected left and right by the people who actually matter, the Star Wars fans. And you know what? Sad part is, Star Wars used to be something that brought people together. Didn't matter who you were, where you come from, or what your politics were. The Star Wars was something we could all enjoy. But now, under the leadership of Kathleen Kennedy and with people like Leslye Headland, it's become yet another battleground in the culture war. And frankly, most of us are just tired of it, but we're jaded. We're used to it at this point. So what's the future of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland? Well, if the ratings and the fan reactions are anything to go by, it doesn't have much of one. And that's probably for the best, because the longer Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland goes on, the more damage it does to the Star Wars brand. But at the end of the day, we want our Star Wars back. You know, we want our stories that inspire us, at least some of us do, that take us to a galaxy far, far away, and that doesn't shove woke ideology down our throats. Now, we want a Star Wars that George Lucas gave us, the one that captured our imaginations and made us believe in the power of storytelling. Now, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland is not that at all. And until the folks at Disney realize that, they're going to keep losing the fans who made Star Wars the cultural phenomenon it once was. Okay, so here's hoping they wake up before it's too late. Well, probably too late by now, but judging by the mess we're in right now, I'm not holding my breath. But thanks for watching also. Now, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. If you think that there's a chance of Lucasfilm recovering, then tell me why. If not, explain why you think so. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you may have with this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead, smash the like button and share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.